You shower regularly. You use deodorant. You wear clean clothes. And yet, sometimes the smell still comes back. It can feel confusing, even frustrating, because most people believe body odor simply means poor hygiene. But here's something surprising. Sweat itself does not actually smell. Fresh sweat is mostly water and salt. In many cases, it is completely odorless when it first leaves the body. The smell begins later. It begins when natural skin bacteria start breaking down components inside sweat, especially proteins and lipids produced by apocrine glands. As these substances are metabolized, they create volatile compounds, and those compounds produce what we recognize as body odor. This explains why two people can sweat the same amount, yet smell completely different. It also explains why the scent may change with age, stress, to diet, or even clothing. In this video, we'll explore what truly causes body odor, why it changes over time, and what science suggests may help reduce it more effectively. Body odor begins in a place most people never think about: the invisible ecosystem living on the surface of the skin. Your skin is home to millions of microorganisms, forming what scientists call the skin microbiome. Among them are bacteria such as Corynebacterium and Staphylococcus. These bacteria are completely natural. They are present on nearly everyone's skin, and most of the time, they play a neutral or even helpful role in maintaining skin balance. But when sweat is produced, especially from apocrine glands located in areas like the underarms, chest, and groin, the situation changes. Apocrine sweat is different from the watery sweat that helps cool your body. It contains proteins, lipids, and other organic compounds that provide nutrients for bacteria. As bacteria break down these substances, they release small molecules known as volatile organic compounds. These compounds are what create the recognizable scent associated with body odor. Interestingly, the intensity and type of odor depend not only on how much you sweat, but also on the specific mix of bacteria living on your skin, the pH level of your skin, and how long sweat remains on the surface. This is why body odor can vary widely from person to person. It is also why simply washing more often does not always fully solve the problem. Because the real source of odor is not the sweat itself, but the interaction between sweat and the microscopic life already living on your skin. If body odor were only about hygiene, everyone who showered regularly would smell the same. But that's not what happens. Some people seem to develop stronger body odor, even when their habits are similar. One reason lies in genetics. Researchers have identified a gene called ABCC11 that plays a significant role in how much odor the body is likely to produce. This gene influences the activity of apocrine glands, the type of sweat glands responsible for releasing thicker sweat rich in proteins and lipids. People with certain variations of this gene tend to produce less of this type of sweat. As a result, the bacteria on their skin have fewer nutrients to break down, and less odor is formed. This may help explain why body odor intensity can differ across individuals and populations. Age also plays an important role. As the body gets older, hormone levels begin to shift. Levels of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone gradually change, especially after the age of 40 or 50. These hormonal shifts can affect skin pH, oil production, and the composition of sweat. Lower estrogen levels, for example, may create a skin environment that allows odor-producing bacteria to grow more easily. At the same time, the structure of sweat itself may change, becoming slightly thicker or more concentrated. This combination can make body odor seem stronger or different than it was earlier in life. In other words, changes in body odor are not always about cleanliness. Sometimes they simply reflect natural biological changes happening beneath the surface. Have you ever noticed that body odor seems stronger during moments of stress? Not necessarily after exercise, not necessarily after being outside in the heat, but during emotional pressure, before an important meeting, during a difficult conversation, or in situations where anxiety suddenly rises. This happens because the body produces different types of sweat depending on the situation. When temperature increases, apocrine glands release a watery sweat designed mainly to cool the body. But when stress levels rise, the nervous system activates apocrine glands, the same glands associated with stronger body odor. Stress-related sweat contains higher levels of proteins and lipids. These compounds provide more nutrients for odor-producing bacteria, allowing them to break down sweat more efficiently and release stronger-smelling molecules. Stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline can also increase overall sweat production. At the same time, stress may temporarily alter the skin's pH balance, creating an environment where certain bacteria can multiply more rapidly. This combination explains why stress-related odor often smells sharper, more intense, or slightly more acidic than sweat produced during physical activity. Hormonal changes during different life stages may have a similar effect. Periods such as puberty, pregnancy, and menopause can influence how active apocrine glands become. As hormone levels fluctuate, the composition of sweat may also shift, and even small changes in sweat chemistry can noticeably affect how body odor develops. In many cases, the change is gradual and completely normal. But understanding the connection between hormones, stress, and sweat helps explain why body odor does not always remain constant over time. Body odor is not shaped by skin bacteria alone. What you eat can also influence how your body smells. After digestion, certain compounds from food enter the bloodstream. From there, some of these compounds are released through sweat glands and breath. This is why specific foods are sometimes associated with stronger or more noticeable body odor. Foods rich in sulfur, such as garlic, onions, broccoli, and cabbage, contain natural chemicals that can be broken down into sulfur-containing compounds. These compounds can be released through the skin, creating a scent that may linger even after bathing. Spicy foods may also increase body temperature slightly, stimulating sweat production and allowing odor-producing bacteria to become more active. Alcohol and caffeine can have a similar indirect effect. Both may stimulate the nervous system and influence sweat gland activity, potentially making odor more noticeable in some individuals. In rare cases, body odor may also reflect deeper metabolic processes. One example is trimethylaminuria, a genetic condition in which the body cannot properly break down trimethylamine, a compound naturally found in certain foods. When this happens, the substance can accumulate and be released through sweat and breath, sometimes producing a fish-like odor. Most body odor changes are harmless and influenced by everyday factors such as diet, hydration, and metabolism. But noticing patterns between certain foods and odor changes can sometimes provide useful clues about how the body processes nutrients internally. Sometimes the source of body odor is not only the skin. It may also be hiding in the fabric you wear every day. Many people notice that certain shirts begin to smell quickly, even after being freshly washed. The odor seems to return as soon as the fabric becomes slightly warm or damp. One reason involves the type of material. Synthetic fabrics, such as polyester, are designed to be durable and moisture-resistant. But these same properties can trap body oils and sweat residues deep inside the fibers. Over time, these residues create an environment where odor-causing bacteria can survive even after normal washing cycles. Researchers have found that certain bacteria, including micrococci, tend to adhere strongly to synthetic fibers. As these bacteria accumulate, they continue breaking down sweat residues each time the clothing is worn, releasing odor again and again. Another hidden factor is fabric softener. While it may make clothes feel smoother, it can leave behind a thin coating that reduces the fabric's ability to absorb moisture properly. This coating can also trap detergent residues, minerals from hard water, and body oils, creating layers that gradually hold onto odor molecules. In contrast, natural fibers such as cotton or linen are generally more breathable and easier to clean thoroughly. Because they allow moisture to evaporate more efficiently, they may reduce the chance for odor-causing bacteria to accumulate over time. This helps explain why sometimes the smell seems to return. Not because the body is producing more odor, but because the fabric is holding on to microscopic residues that standard washing may not fully remove. Managing body odor often works best when multiple small strategies are combined. Rather than relying on a single product, it may help to understand how each step influences the environment on the skin. Basic hygiene remains the foundation. Regular cleansing helps remove sweat residues, excess oil, and bacteria that accumulate throughout the day. Paying extra attention to areas where apocrine glands are concentrated, such as the underarms, groin, and feet, may help reduce the nutrients that bacteria depend on. Some cleansers contain ingredients designed to reduce bacterial activity. For example, washes containing benzoyl peroxide or chlorhexidine are sometimes used to support skin hygiene when odor becomes persistent. Another approach involves adjusting the skin's pH environment. Bacteria that contribute to odor often prefer a slightly higher pH. Ingredients such as glycolic acid or salicylic acid may help gently exfoliate dead skin cells while supporting a slightly more acidic surface, making it more difficult for odor-producing bacteria to multiply. Diluted apple cider vinegar is sometimes used for a similar reason, though skin sensitivity can vary. Products labeled deodorant and antiperspirant work differently. Deodorants typically focus on reducing odor by limiting bacterial growth or masking scent. Antiperspirants, on the other hand, contain aluminum-based compounds that temporarily reduce the amount of sweat reaching the skin surface. Some research suggests that applying antiperspirant in the evening may improve effectiveness because sweat glands are less active during sleep. For individuals experiencing persistent or excessive sweating, medical professionals may sometimes recommend additional options, depending on personal health history and symptom severity. In most situations, body odor is influenced by everyday factors such as hygiene, diet, stress, or clothing. But occasionally, A noticeable change in odor may reflect shifts happening deeper inside the body. For example, some metabolic conditions can alter how certain compounds are processed and eliminated. One rare condition, trimethylaminuria, affects the body's ability to break down trimethylamine, a compound naturally produced during digestion. When this compound accumulates, it may be released through sweat and breath, creating a fish-like scent. Other metabolic processes may also influence odor characteristics. For instance, when the body shifts toward using fat as a primary energy source, certain ketone compounds may be produced. These compounds can sometimes create a slightly sweet or acetone-like scent on the breath or skin. Changes in liver or kidney function may also influence how waste products are filtered, occasionally affecting body odor patterns. Certain medications may alter sweat composition as well, depending on how they interact with metabolism or hormone balance. It is important to remember that many variations in body odor are temporary and harmless. However, if a new odor appears suddenly, becomes unusually strong, or persists despite normal hygiene, it may be reasonable to discuss the change with a qualified healthcare professional. Understanding these signals can help place body odor in context, not as something alarming, but as one of many ways the body communicates internal changes. Body odor is often misunderstood. Many people assume it is simply the result of sweating too much or not maintaining proper hygiene. But as we've seen, the process is far more complex. Sweat itself is mostly odorless. The scent develops only after natural skin bacteria begin breaking down components within sweat, especially proteins and lipids produced by apocrine glands. Genetics, such as the ABCC11 gene, may influence how active these glands are. Hormonal changes, stress levels, diet, and even clothing materials can also affect how odor develops and how long it lingers. In many cases, variations in body odor are simply a reflection of how the body adapts to internal and external conditions. Understanding the underlying mechanisms may help reduce unnecessary worry and make odor easier to manage with practical, consistent habits. Most importantly, body odor is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is simply a natural signal, one of many ways the body communicates subtle changes happening beneath the surface.